Tom Brady, you've got to be kidding me. Guys, last night on his podcast, Tom Brady came out and basically said he's going to, at some point, be returning to the NFL. I've got the full transcript. I'm going to read it all. And really, he's just trolling everyone. I'm going to give my hypothesis on what I think happened. We've also got some Saquon Barkley news. We've got head coaches getting hired. We're going to talk about that. But when it comes to Tom Brady, let's take a look. Appearing on his podcast Monday night, when asked if he'd consider coming out of retirement, Tom Brady said, he's already saying this, you never know. Tom Brady, 2 weeks after retiring, already putting out the you never know, I might come back. And this is the actual transcript in full context. His co-host, Jonas Gray. Jonas Gray, remember him? The 4-touchdown game? I'm kidding. I don't know if it's Jonas Gray, but he says Michael Jordan came back, Muhammad Ali came back, Mike Tyson came back, so inevitably some quarterback's going to get hurt or not perform at the level, and it's going to start in July in training camp. It's going to go again in September and probably again in October and November. How are you going to entertain those thoughts, and would you ever consider that? Tom Brady says, I'm just going to take things as they come. I think that's the best way to put it. And I don't think anything, you never say never. At the same time, I know that I feel very good about my decision. I don't know how I'll feel in 6 months. It might change, I think. It most likely won't, but I try to make the best decision possible I can in the moment, which I did this past week. And again, I think it's not looking to reverse course. I'm definitely not looking to do that. But in the same time, I think you have to be realistic that you never know what challenges there are going to be in life. Again, I love playing. I'm looking forward to doing things other than playing. That's as honest as I could be with you there, Jim. So it was Jim Gray, not Jonas Gray. But either way, guys, Tom Brady, my hypothesis on this whole thing is that his wife forced him to retire. She said, that's it. This is ridiculous. You've been playing for 22 years, whatever. And Brady probably thought, I'll retire, and then in 2 or 3 months, I'll convince her to come out of retirement. Brady retiring was really shocking to me, and no one else brought this up. Throughout all the years, we heard about how competitive Tom Brady was, and you think if he's really this competitive, it doesn't really fit along with the description of him leaving, after being one of the top 2 or 3 quarterbacks in the NFL. Peyton Manning retired when he fell off a cliff. Drew Brees was in the process of falling off a cliff. So when these quarterbacks say, yeah, I'm done with the game, most of the time when they retire, especially the really elite ones, it's because they're not very good anymore. If Tom Brady had continued the downward trend he was on from the last year of New England, to this past year, then he would probably be saying, yeah, I'm done. I'm obviously not very good anymore. I don't want to play. But that's not the case. Tom Brady was arguably a top 2 or top 3 quarterback in the entire league this past year. And again, people say, oh, he's so competitive. You really think he's going to leave the NFL after being a top 2 or 3 quarterback? He's already saying this type of stuff where it's like, you never know. I'll see how I feel in a month. Really? Folks, this dude's coming back. It's so obvious. I just think his wife wanted him to retire. He drummed something up. He made some sort of, half-assed announcement, whatever. And now he's already planting the seed that he's coming back about a week later. No one who, is fully committed to retiring is going to say a week after their retirement that, he might come back. Never say never. We'll see in a month. Obviously, he has to defend his decision to retire by saying, I'm very happy with where I'm at in life. You just made the decision a week ago or 2 weeks ago, whenever it was. But Tom Brady, a quote like this tells me he is trending heavily towards coming back. And my original hypothesis was he didn't like how the Buccaneers team was set up. They're in salary cap hell. They have a lot of issues. Tom Brady on a team like the Indianapolis Colts, if they get a true number 1 receiver, would be deadly. You've already got Jonathan Taylor. You've already got a good number 2 receiver, Michael Pittman. Tom Brady, to me, he's probably saying, I'm 42 years old or 44 years old, going to be 45. At this point, I can't afford to waste years. Like, I don't want to stay on the Bucs if their, cap situation is so bad to where we can't do anything. We lose Chris Godwin, things like that. I think Tom Brady might want to move teams, so we'll see what ends up happening if he does come out of retirement. That quote, just a week and a half after retiring, it reeks of him basically just saying, listen, my wife or someone told me to retire. I'm just going to, I did it to appease them. In a few months, I'm going to convince them, give me another year, whatever. Sounds like he's coming back. Another another thing with Saquon Barkley, I saw this. The New York Giants are expected to move on from Saquon Barkley and James Bradberry. Now, this is a fake account. It's a troll account, whatever. They limited who can reply to it because they didn't want to get found out or something. I don't know. It's a fake account. But you take a look at this one, the Giants wire, they do have the blue check mark. They're verified. Kadarius Toney, who was a rookie last year, James Bradberry, and Saquon Barkley have been named under the radar trade candidates the New York Giants may send packing. Now, I don't see any sort of upside at this point in trading Saquon Barkley. His value is as low as it can possibly be with the injuries the past 2-3 years. Kadarius Toney, same thing. James Bradberry, I'm not exactly familiar with his situation, but Kadarius Toney was a rookie last year. He was injured. He showed really good promise. He was a huge waiver wire pickup in fantasy football, but then got injured, of course, or re-injured. I think he started the season injured, came back, played really well, especially against Dallas. You guys remember that Cowboys game? He had like 12 catches or something. Then he got re-injured, and he was dealing with nagging injuries all year. But the idea of moving on from Saquon Barkley, there's no point to it. Like, what are you going to get for Saquon at this point? Maybe at best a late second-round pick. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe a team. Listen, I love Saquon's ability, his talent. It's top-notch, but it's just like he's been injured year and year. I don't understand the appeal if you're the Giants to sell this low on him. Maybe they're just putting out feelers. I don't know. But I just found that to be very, very interesting. Moving on to this tweet from Adam Schefter. We got news yesterday of Lovie Smith getting hired, and Schefter says after the Texans announced they have hired Lovie Smith, Brian Flores' attorneys put out this statement, and this is hilarious. Mr. Flores is happy to hear that the Texans have hired a black coach, Lovie Smith, as Mr. Flores' goal in bringing his case to provide real opportunities for black and minority candidates to be considered for coaching and executive positions within the NFL. However, we would be remiss not to mention that Mr. Flores was one of the 3 finalists for the Texans head coaching position, and after a great interview and mutual interest, it is obvious the only reason Mr. Flores was not selected was his decision to stand against racial inequality across the NFL. Gee, you think? Brian Flores, 1 week ago, announced he was suing the NFL. You think he's going to get a head coaching job a week later? What is this? I know it's an attorney statement, whatever, but yeah, obviously you're not going to get hired by the NFL a week after suing them and, saying that they're racist. I just thought that was so hilarious. I thought it was a funny quote. More quick news. Lamar Jackson's contract expected to exceed $40 million annually. No shocker there. He won an MVP. It says the deal would place Jackson in the top 3 at quarterback, with Jackson targeting more than Dak Prescott's 4-year, $160 million deal with Dallas last offseason. The Ravens want to extend Jackson before free agency in March, but there's no set deadline with Jackson representing himself. I guess he doesn't have an agent. Baltimore has signed Jackson through 2022 and can use the franchise tag on him the next 2 seasons for under $40 million annually, giving the Ravens the option to go year to year with Jackson, who's coming off a season-ending injury and has more hits than any quarterback since 2018. So it'll be interesting with Lamar Jackson. Not surprised he's asking for more than Dak Prescott. He won an MVP this past year. He started out really well. A lot of turnovers towards the middle and back end. Gets injured towards the end. I think he only started 13 games total. Also, we've got Juju Smith-Schuster saying he's likely headed for free agency. I'm guessing the Steelers. Listen, I'll be honest with you. Juju Smith-Schuster as a number 3 receiver is pretty damn good. It is, but I'm guessing the Steelers looking at other options at this point, trying to save money with the salary cap. They've already got 2 really good young receivers who are going to need new contracts at some point in Deontay Johnson and Chase Claypool. They're also looking for a quarterback, possibly a franchise quarterback, trading for one. That would take up a bunch of cap. So right now, Juju Smith-Schuster looks like he's going to be finding a new home. These are all of the new head coaching hires. You just look at this list, and one word I would use to describe it is uncertainty. There's just a lot of uncertainty with this list. Doug Peterson, I thought was pretty good. You get Trevor Lawrence, a stable head coach who's proven he can win. Lovie Smith. Lovie Smith, I feel like, is going to be another dude who coaches 1 year and then gets fired. By the way, guys, I heard a rumor when it came to the Texans head coaching search. They wanted Josh McCown. Josh McCown hasn't coached at any level, like, in the NFL. He was like a head coach of his high school team or whatever. The former quarterback, he was the quarterback. He had a nice little run in 2013 with the Bears, Browns quarterback. They wanted to hire him. But with the NFL and their current issues with race, and when it comes to head coaches, the NFL said, listen, you need to hire someone else. Josh McCown, you can bring him up as a coach, but you got to wait at least a year to hire Josh McCown. So Lovie Smith might be another one and done head coach in Houston, to where they groom Josh McCown. Josh McCown was originally the guy they wanted to hire, but the NFL said, listen, why don't you just calm down? You got to deal with the whole Deshaun Watson situation first. It's not like you're going to be contending this year. So they hire Lovie for the 1 year, and then Josh McCown takes over starting in 2023. That's just what I heard. We'll have to see. Brian Daboll, I've heard a lot of optimism about him from around the NFL. Josh McDaniels is kind of a wacko. Mike McDaniel, the former 49ers running back coach, kind of a hipster-looking dude. Dennis Allen, boy, I didn't even know Dennis Allen was hired. Like, no one even talked about New Orleans. It's like, oh yeah, we're bringing Dennis Allen in as the head coach. And then Nathaniel Hackett, maybe he can hack some teams to win some games or something. But guys, that is going to do it for this update. Tom Brady putting out a statement already, using the whole never say never thing about 2 weeks after retiring. It's getting old. Tom Brady is trolling people somewhat. I think his wife was like, it's annoying. Please just retire. It's been long enough. And he thought to himself, he said, this Bucs roster situation is horrible. This team's a mess. So I'll retire, but then about 2 or 3 months, I'll convince her to play another year or two. Tom Brady, probably the second or third best quarterback. You really think he's going to leave the NFL after that? Come on, folks. But guys, that's going to do it for this video. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.